All right, now we're back from our technical difficulties. All right, Ms. Alfarasi, I'm sure we messed up your stride there. Way back on, Your Honor?
Oh, we are back twice.
Whenever you're ready, go ahead.
All right, thank you, Your Honor. So, Your Honor, this defense, we would submit there is not probable cause been established for the willful obstruction. Based on the officer's testimony, the officer never announced why he was stopping him. Mr. Nora had no reason to believe why he was being stopped at that time. The officer did not announce, and so we would submit you can't have obstruction when you don't have a reason to. You don't have to stop because an officer tells you to stop. It needs to usually be a reason. So we submit there was not probable cause for that point, Your Honor. We also submit there is an issue with the drugs. I mean, the officer, to the best of his knowledge, he cannot remember the way these drugs look. He cannot describe them. There's no description in the warrants. There's no descriptions in the police report of the MDMA or the hydrocodone or the alleged penicillin. And so, Your Honor, we would submit that there hasn't been a basis established for the possession of dangerous drugs, the drugs not in the original container, as well as the possession of the MDMA. Because we had no description of these drugs, and so for all we know, they could have been sugar pills. They could have not. They could have been any other kind of pill. We have no idea. The officer could not really provide a basis for why he knew these pills were, other than maybe in another case he had seen similar type of pills for some of them. So we would submit there's not probable cause as to that. And Your Honor, we would also submit there's not probable cause as to the possession of a knife during the commission of felonies. The officer could not give a proper description of the knife. He said about his index finger, but then he said 4 inches, and his index finger did not appear to be 4 inches either, Your Honor. They did not measure the knife. There's no descriptions of the knife in the warrant. There's no descriptions of the knife in a police report. And so, Your Honor, based on all that, we would submit probable cause has not been established for those factors. Thank you.
Rebuttal.
Just brief rebuttal, Your Honor. We'll submit based on the officer's testimony, he did provide a sufficient basis for the charge possession of knife during commission of a felony. And we would say any other description of the knife would be purely speculative, but I do believe based on officer's testimony, the state has established sufficient probable cause for the possession of knife during commission of a felony. And with respect to the willful obstruction, we would submit in this case the defendant hindered the officers from lawful discharge of their duties when asked to stop based on being in the roadway. That was when the tussle commenced. That was my understanding of the officer's testimony. Again, we do ask that you find probable cause on all charges. Nothing further from the state.
I'm guessing because I wrote it down. I'm guessing he's not considering penicillin the dangerous drug. He's considering the hydro.
His testimony, Your Honor, is he didn't know what his basis was for the drugs not original container and the dangerous drugs. He didn't recall which one was which or not. So that's why we submit there's not sufficient probable cause.
I believe it was the hydrochlorine.
It was the hydro. Yeah, I never would have said by that because I don't think penicillin falls under a dangerous drug. But right, I found probable cause on possession, manufacture, distribution of marijuana, the MDMA, the cocaine, the firearm or the knife, pedestrian and roadway, drug-related objects. Okay, I guess, drugs not in the original container, possession of drugs, and willful obstruction. Right now, he's got a $25,350 good bond, and it was set December 13th, but we'll just go ahead and hear it. That way it won't get thrown on a night calendar too quickly. Let's see, he's been in there 144 days. Bostic, you ready?
Can y'all hear me?
What?
Yes.
Okay. He has 5 arrests. Conviction is an 05 armed robbery, 2 counts firearm during. Sentenced to 10 years confinement, 5 years probation. Next arrest wasn't until 2019 for theft by shoplifting. Nothing further.
All right. Ms. Alfarasi?
Thank you, Your Honor. My client, let's get at the podium. Your Honor, my client, Mr. Well, he's been in custody now. I believe it's 120 something.
44.
144, so even longer than I initially thought, Your Honor, because this case has been reset. This is the third time we've been here today, Your Honor, for a prelim. He's been in custody 144 days without an indictment, Your Honor. We do have a good address for him. That is the same address in the system. That is in Hateville, Georgia. He is a father of 3 children. 2 of them do live in the state. He does have family in the area. I've been in contact with his family prior to. They did come to previous preliminary hearings, but because of the amount of times they got reset, Your Honor, they did not appear today. But he does have family in the area. He has at least 2 brothers in the area that I've been in contact with, as well as his child's mother. Your Honor, we're going to ask you to reduce his bond to $15,000 total. He cannot make the bond as set as it is. He's no means to do it. Even $15,000, we're not entirely sure that's even doable, but at least if we bring it down more, it's a better number for him and his family to work towards to try to post a bond. And so, Your Honor, we would ask if you do reduce his bond to 15. Thank you.
So on the system, it's got Sim Street in Atlanta. Is that where he?
Yes, yeah, 3331 Sims Street in apartment 16 in Hateville, Georgia. He's lived in that apartment for about 7 years, Your Honor.
Is there a drug
We
issue maybe?
we
issue?
do believe there might be some drug issues in targeting this case. I've already done a social worker request. We have a social worker actively working, trying to get him into a facility. It's just, as you know, Your Honor, it's hard to get people into facilities, especially drug-related ones. And if you do get them, it takes a lot of time and there's a lot of process. So I do know our social worker, Lee Hanson, he had been working on that. I know he's trying to apply Mr. Noel to different programs, but as of right now, from my understanding, he has not been accepted anywhere yet.
Okay. All right. What says the state?
Yes, Judge, we would submit that the 2,500, the 25,350, that's why I have good bond is fair and reasonable, given the nature of these charges. We do understand the armed robbery conviction is dated. It does concern the state, however. And the last arrest being May 9th of 2019, we would submit that is recent. So with respect to Ayala, we'll submit there is a risk of reoffending pending trial, significant risk and significant danger posed to the police officers involved, as well as other drivers on the road and in the proximity of the 50 Alabama Street, particularly given the nature of these substances and the amounts, significant number of pills, 81 plus the 81.4 grams of marijuana. And then there is an intent to distribute here, cocaine. But we'll leave any modification in Your Honor's sound discretion.
All right.
Yeah, just for the robbery charge, I mean, that was a conviction from, I believe, 2006. So we're talking about an old charge here, just in the grand perspective. It's not like he committed the armed robbery last year, what we're talking with.
How old is this kid?
He has 3 children, Your Honor. He has 2 adult children. They're in their 20s, and I believe he has a 4-year-old. 1 second. She's a 4-year-old daughter as well.
Okay. All right. Well, sir, if you don't do this for yourself, get control of yourself for your child. You got to do that. All right. So I'm going to modify what I set the other bond. So it'd be no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 50 Alabama Street in Atlanta, Georgia. I still got you on an ankle monitor with a 24-hour curfew. Court, lawyer, medical, and employment, or any addiction counseling that Ms. Alfarasi gets you into. And we'll modify it if he's going to go live in a.
Yes, Your Honor. I'll once that happens, I'll be happy to send a consent bond to Mr. Norwood and
The inpatient, yeah, but you have to submit to Ms. Alfarasi the name of your employer, proof of employment schedule, and the location you'll be working. If you get a schedule weekly, then you have to do that weekly, right? But you're going to have to stay at home. So if you change where you're living, you need to let Ms. Alfarasi know and the ankle monitoring company so that they can do that. Let's see what else we got. I don't know if there are any holds, but if there are any holds, you'll have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on your ankle once you get released from a hold, if by chance there's any out there. I kind of like to put that on there in case there ends up popping up a hold. So for count one, I'll make that 3,000. Count two, 2,000. Count three, 3,000. Count four, 7,000. Count five. Okay, I had it at $50. I'll make it $25. Count six, $50. Count seven, $50. Count eight, $50. And count nine, 1,000. All right, with all those conditions, best of luck to you, sir. Eric, come on up, officer. We'll get Stanley Hardiman.
Yes, Judge.
Yeah, come on, we can stay.
State, yeah, we'll call out Sheriff Blue for our position. My position number 7, but Hardiman.
Yeah, number 7, Stanley Hardiman.
Thank you, Your Honor. That concludes my business today. May I be excused?
Yes, ma'am. See you this evening if you're there.
I'll see you tonight, Your Honor.
All right. All right, you raise your right hand. You swear if her testimony about to give is truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
I swear.
All right, you can sit down and state your name, spell it for the court reporter.
It's Deputy Gary, last name Blue, B-L-U-E.
All right. Wait on them to come out here.
Yes, mine. I was like, you know, it's like some drilling. Leave it alone.
Mr. Joe, I don't know if you've already taken care of this, but it shows up as a probation revocation from Judge Kraus
Oh,
that was issued October 22nd,
Judge.
October 27th, sorry.
October 27th? Okay.
October 27th. I don't know if that's been heard on that, but
Thank you so much. I'll check. Hey, Mr. Hardman.
After Blue, we have one
Good, how
for
are you?
Daniel, Jerome Daniel.
all right,
Yeah,
this is
three
a
and four.
position 7, Bostic. It's Stanley Bernard Hardiman, 22 CP 213451, 150 days without indictment, unlawful for an
We did
inmate to
one.
possess any controlled substance, drug, gun, or dangerous
Got one.
weapon. 150 days without indictment. He's already got a bond, but we'll address it after the
Yes, one.
prelim.
Should, or maybe one of them comes though.
And like I said, Mr. Cho, so I just told Mr. Cho that there's a probation revocation warrant that's showing up on Odyssey for Judge Kraus. I'm not sure if he's handled it, but he'll check in on it, okay? Go ahead, Counsel. Mr. Norwood.
Yes, Judge. Good day to you. Is it Deputy Blue?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for being here. Could you please introduce yourself to the court? Where are you currently employed?
Yes, sir. My name is Deputy G. Blue. I'm with the Fulton County Sheriff Office.
How long have you been with the Fulton County Sheriff's Office?
I've been with Fulton County Sheriff Office as of June the 23rd of 2021.
Okay. What are your duties with the Fulton County Sheriff's Office?
Yes, sir. I am a jail deputy. I currently run a housing unit, monitor inmates and provide essential needs that the inmates may need in regards to food, making sure that they are secured within the housing unit.
All right. Do you have any prior law enforcement experience?
Yes, sir. I have Doherty County Sheriff Office in Albany, Georgia, where I was a jailer in the intake area.
All right. Are you post-certified?
Yes, sir.
Were you post-certified on the date of this incident, October 23rd, 2022?
Yes, sir.
Can you tell the court about the incident that occurred on October 23rd, 2022? How did your investigation of Stanley Hardiman begin that day?
Yes, sir. I was not the initial arresting officer. I was actually called to scene because Mr. Hardeman had been found to be in possession of some illegal items that were not administered by us at the Fulton County Jail.
Okay. And what were those? What were those items?
Okay, Mr. Hardeman possessed a 3 round pills, white in color, and he also possessed a baggie, roughly about an ounce or so or less of a green leafy substance.
Where did he possess these items?
He had those items on his person.
All right. Where was he when they were found on his person?
I don't recall exactly where they were found on his person, but he was to be housing those items. He was housing those items for someone else.
Okay. And this incident took place at the jail?
Yes, sir.
What's the address of the jail?
It's 901 Rice Street, Atlanta, Georgia, 31018.
Is that in Fulton County?
Yes, sir.
All right. Upon your arrival, what did you see?
Upon my arrival, Mr. Hardeman was already in handcuffs and placed into what we call the 800 zone or the recreation zone. The items were presented to me. Once again, they were 3 pills, round, white in color, and that leafy substance. And I then went ahead and asked Mr. Hardeman, was he aware of what those items were? He then began to indicate that they were Percocet and marijuana.
What happened before you arrived?
There was an incident in the housing unit where Mr. Hardeman is housed.
What was that incident?
There was a disturbance that prompted a search between Mr. Hardeman and another inmate.
And upon that search, based on that incident, that's when these substances were found in his person?
Yes, sir.
Did you conduct the search?
No, sir.
Who conducted the search?
It was Sergeant Heath and Lieutenant Lee.
Okay. And they told you that they found these substances on this person?
Yes, sir.
Was Hardeman Mirandized?
I don't recall him being Mirandized. No, sir.
Okay. But he was already in handcuffs prior to your arrival.
Right.
So that could have already happened.
Right.
And you saw the green leafy substance and the 3 colored pills?
Yes, sir.
Who presented them to you?
Lieutenant Lee presented me with those.
And I didn't mean to cut you off. Could you finish?
Yes, my lieutenant at that time presented me with those items.
Okay. How did you identify the suspect?
How did I identify the
Or
suspect?
confirm the identity
Of the pills?
of the suspect?
Of the suspect? He was already in custody when I arrived, so.
Okay. Do you see the person in the courtroom who was identified as a suspect today? You can stand up.
All right, everybody can take their mask down.
Can you describe where he or she is sitting and what he or she is wearing?
Yes, sir. He's sitting over there on the left with the salt and pepper goatee and low brush cut.
Okay. Thank you. You can have a seat now. Your Honor, may the record reflect that the officer has identified the defendant, Stanley Hardeman.
All right, noted. You can put your mask back on.
And just very briefly, how did you know these substances were what they, how did you know what the substances were?
Based on my knowledge and experience, I did not attempt to classify those items. I went solely based on what was the testimony of Mr. Hardeman in regards to what those items were.
And the sergeant and lieutenant also told you what they suspected the items were?
No, sir. We just went ahead and just classified them as the 3-round pills,
Okay.
white in color and the leafy substance.
Okay, okay. Where did this take place in the Fulton County Jail facility?
Yes, sir. It was on 3 South, Zone 200.
Okay. Is there any reason for anybody in the Fulton County Jail facility to have these items on their person? The
No,
green
sir.
leafy substance and the 3 pills?
No, sir.
There's no authorization at all?
No, sir.
And they were found directly on this person?
Correct.
And you were post-certified on this date?
Correct.
All right, no further questions for this witness at this time, Your Honor.
All right, Cross?
Thank you, Your Honor. Good morning, Officer Blue.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for being here. This was initially a fight in the dorm, basically?
Correct.
If you know, was anyone charged in that fight?
I'm not sure if anyone was charged in that fight, sir.
Okay.
I don't
And
recall, sorry.
that's okay. I appreciate that. And you were called out specifically because of contraband that was found?
Correct.
If you know, was this prior to the new X-ray machines being installed at the jail?
Yes, sir. This is before we received the new X-ray machine, correct?
Okay, and this was a time period where there was a lot of different contraband at the jail. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, this is also the time period where a lot of stabbings were occurring at the jail. Is that right?
That's correct.
Okay. When you arrived, you said that Mr. Hardeman was already in handcuffs.
Correct.
Okay. And he cooperated with you?
Yes, sir. He was cooperative.
Okay. And he acknowledged that the items that were alleged illegal items were found on or near him.
Yes, sir.
He also told you that, I mean, let me say it like this. How long did you speak with him for?
I spoke with him roughly, probably about a minute or two.
Okay. Is that conversation recorded on body camera by any chance?
I don't recall.
Okay. Is it normal procedure for you to have body camera?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And was there any video of when the alleged contraband was recovered, to your knowledge?
Yes, sir. We do have video surveillance of the housing unit.
Okay. Do you know if any of that video was downloaded or saved in any kind of way for discovery?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure in regards to if anything was saved.
Okay, fair enough. And to the best of your knowledge, was the recovery of the alleged contraband on video?
I'm suspecting yes, because there are roughly about 2 cameras in that housing unit.
Okay. Was Sergeant Heath and Lieutenant Lee, were they involved in the fight portion of this or the contraband portion of this?
Both.
Oh, both. Okay. So were they the leads on the alleged fight that occurred at the jail?
Correct.
I see. Okay. And they were the ones who informed you about the contraband as well?
Yes, sir. Because Sergeant Heath, which would be the lead officer in regards to the search, she's a detention officer and they're not able to charge at that capacity.
I see. So you also are deputy at the jail?
Yes, sir.
And you have the authority to make charging decisions?
Yes, sir.
I see. Okay. Okay. I appreciate that. When you spoke with Mr. Hardeman, he relayed to you that he was forced to hold on to these contrabands for anyone else. Is that right?
No, sir, he did not indicate that he was forced to hold on to those items. He stated that he was holding those items because he was paid commissary because he was not making store.
Oh, I see. Holding items. Okay. Is that a common activity at 901 Rice Street?
I don't recall. I mean, if it would be a common practice, I mean, I can't say yes or no to that because I'm not 100% sure or speak in regards to that.
That's okay. I appreciate your candor. Let me say it like this. Working at Dougherty Sheriff's Office previously and also at 901 Rice Street now, have you seen instances of I guess basically other folks holding things for other people?
Yes, I've seen instances where they would hold things for other people.
Okay. Were you able to determine who might have originally had ownership of the alleged contraband in this case?
I don't really recall the name of the person that Mr. Hardeman had provided. Yeah, I'm not really able to confirm who he was holding it for.
Okay, just so I'm clear, and I'm not trying to be obnoxious. Was a name given and you don't recall the name, or do you not recall?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, there was a name given. I just don't recall the name.
Okay. And do you know if anything else occurred upon the name being given?
No, sir.
Okay, fair enough. And beyond everything we've discussed and you've testified to with the state, was there any other law enforcement activity or investigation in regards to this case?
No, sir.
No. Okay. Do you know, is marijuana submitted for drug lab testing still?
Once I got those items, I did go ahead and provide that information or those items to evidence. So I'm not sure if they do the drug testing. I just write out what I presume it to be. Once again, which were to be the 3 round pills, white in color, and the green leafy substance.
Fair enough. And as far as the 3 round pills that were white in color, were there any other distinguishing marks to say that they were Percocet versus Tylenol, for instance?
No, sir. I did not attempt to determine what those pills were. I only characterized it based on what was described to me by Mr. Hardeman.
Okay.
Indicated that they were Percocet.
Okay. And no lab result yet for those pills?
Not that I'm aware of.
Okay, fair enough. And last question, I appreciate you. Did Mr. Hardeman tell you that the reason for his belief as to what these the alleged pills were was because the other person told him that?
No, sir, he did not tell me that. He just indicated when I asked him if he was aware of what those brown pills were or the leafy substance, he indicated that he said, yes, these are Percocets, and the green leafy substance was identified by Mr. Hardeman as being marijuana.
Okay, I apologize. I do have one more question, Deputy Blue. Based on your knowledge, training, experience, did it appear as though Mr. Hardeman was under the influence of any marijuana?
No, sir, it did not appear that he may have been under any influence at that time.
Same question for Percocet, same answer.
You said same question for the Percocet?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And no one smelled burnt marijuana in on 3 North or 3 South, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you so much. I appreciate your time.
Any more?
No further questions for this witness. May Deputy Blue be excused?
Yes, Deputy. Be safe getting home.
Thank you.
Get some rest.
Thank you, Judge.
All right, go ahead with the argument.
The state will submit on the evidence subject to rebuttal.
Defense will submit.
All right, we find probable cause on unlawful for jail inmate to possess any controlled substance, drug, gun, or dangerous weapon. All right, so right now there's a $5,000 good bond as of October the 25th. Pre-trial.
George Wood initially brought the defendant into custody. He received time served, extensive criminal history. That was a theft by shoplifting, by the way. 67 prior arrests, at least 5 felonies going back to the 80s, capital CWAC conviction and burglary, prior old assault, controlled substance, theft by taking burglaries, at least 11 probation violations. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 convictions for theft by shoplifting. Nothing further.
All right, Mr. Cho?
Thank you, Your Honor. We're going to, for Mr. Hardiman, he's 54, 1059 Oglethorpe Avenue, Atlanta, Georgia, 30310, apartment 521, is the address, for Mr. Hardiman.
Is that in Atlanta?
Atlanta, Georgia?
Okay,
Yeah, ma'am.
Yeah.
okay.
30310. No, it's okay. It's okay. Unemployed, was previously working for a labor pool, 10th grade education, single, no children. We acknowledge that there's some history. There's also some diagnoses as well, which may contribute to that. Judge, I think this is a easy case to process, time served at some point. Notwithstanding that Mr. Hardiman was not the original smuggler or the person that initially had the substances, we acknowledge, the charge in this case and that it was contraband. Well, if the test comes back dispositively, we'll defer to the court as to any kind of bond.
All right, what's his estate?
Yes, Judge, we'll submit $5,000. Good bond is fair and reasonable. With respect to the allegations, there is significant danger. The allegations indictable, there is significant danger posed to the other inmates at the Fulton County Jail facility, as well as the Fulton County Sheriffs. Does seem to be significant risk of reoffending pending trial should the defendant make bond. And given the nature of the criminal history, the risk of not returning to the jurisdiction to face the charges. But we'll leave any modification in Your Honor's discretion and ask that all or any conditions from the previous bond order remain.
All right, let's see. I think I'll put on there's no drugs, no alcohol, no weapons on this one. Because I can't say stay away from Rice Street. This is where you are, sir. If I did that, they just have to.
We'd have no objection.
All right, I'll reduce it from $5,000 to $3,500. Best of luck to you, sir.
We have Officer
I'm gonna walk with you.
Howard here on position for one of the Jerome Daniel cases. I am still awaiting an update on the other officer, Officer Stone, on the other Jerome Daniel case, but I did just receive a text that Officer Forston on the 2 Dwayne Hanks case will be here in 30 minutes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So he's only got one of the Jerome Daniel cases?
Yes, he only has one.
Okay. Which one does he have? Well, they're both burglary.
It's the theft by taking with the second
Okay.
charge, 22
Position
CP
four.
213-381.
All right, so then he's got position 4, Ms. Pinto.
Okay, thank you.
Officer Stone apparently will also be here in 30 minutes.
Oh, so they'll both be here in 30 minutes?
Yes.
All right.
All right.
What's that? Oh. See you, Mr. Cho. Have a good evening. We'll see you this evening if you're there.
Hey, Mr. Daniel. I'm good. Thank you.
You need up here too? Okay. All right. Hold on. He's- 1 second, wait. Does the check the. I want to kick him off the floor. You kick him. It is a kick. That's why I try to sit everywhere else. All right, this is a position 4. The officer for position 3 is not here yet, Bostic, but it's gonna be Jerome DiNardo Daniel, 22 CP 213381, 98 days without indictment. You got burglary in the 2nd degree and theft by taking. Go ahead. Officer, raise your right hand. You swear for testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
All right, you put your hand down if you don't mind, state and spell your name for the court reporter.
All right, it's Investigator Benjamin Howard. Last name is Howard, Howard.
All right, go ahead, Mr. Norwood.
Yes, Judge. Good day, Investigator Howard. Thank you for being here. Could you please introduce yourself to the court? Where are you currently employed?
I am currently employed with the City of Atlanta Police Department
How long have you been employed there?
since 2012.
What are your duties with the Atlanta Police Department?
I'm currently assigned to the Property Crimes Section, Larceny Unit, investigate thefts, frauds, things of that nature.
All right. Do you have any prior law enforcement experience?
Not prior to my employment with the City of Atlanta.
Okay. Are you post-certified?
I am.
Were you post-certified on September 27, 2022, the date of this incident?
I was.
Can you describe or can you tell the court about the incident that occurred on that date, September 27, 2022? How did your investigation begin of Jerome Daniel?
It actually started on October 20th of 2022.
Yes.
When I was raised by zone units about a package thief that they had in custody at 425 Chapel. So I responded to that scene along with my partner, Investigator Wareham. And while on scene, I met with the responding officers as well as a sergeant named Sergeant Crump. And he advised me that he believed that the person that they had in custody, who was caught on camera at 425 Chapel stealing packages, he advised me that he also believed he was responsible for the September 27th incident at the same location. Sergeant Crump showed me some photographs from surveillance footage of the theft from September 27th. I looked at that and I looked at the suspect they had in custody, Mr. Daniel, and it did appear to possibly be the same person. Mr. Daniel was read his Miranda warnings by Investigator Wareham. He agreed to speak with us. During our conversation, I showed him a photograph that was the photograph that was provided me by Sergeant Crump. And he did state that he remembered that day. And we kind of went into further detail about why he was, doing what he was doing. And I think he said something to the effect of there was some drug use going on with him and that he was a father and it was just kind of hard on him and everything like that. After comparing the video footage that was obtained from September 27th and the video footage from October 20th, the MO was pretty much exactly the same. The way the entry was made into the mailroom, and that was done with looked like a little metal rod that was kind of shoved in the door handle there, which allowed him to gain access to that control area. And then once inside, he was caught on camera taking packages. from the mailroom. Some of those packages belong to the victim. In this case, let's see here. Her name is Jai Farrell, and she's the original reporting party from the event of September 27th, which was in fact reported prior to the October 20th event.
Right. What is the address of this incident location?
425 Chapel.
Is that in Fulton County?
It is.
So you were called to the scene on October 20th with respect to a separate incident, but you reviewed surveillance footage related to the September 27th incident.
Correct.
Can you describe what you saw on that surveillance footage, just like a image of the suspect?
Oh, I'm sorry. Are you asking me to describe the suspect or the
Yes.
actions that happened?
You can do both.
Suspect appeared to be tall, slender, kind of long dreadlocks, wearing a book bag. I think he had sandals on too. And he's got a small, thin, I'm not really sure what it is. Some sort of tool is being utilized to enter into the mailroom. Once he's in the mailroom, he starts to select packages to take.
And how much were those packages worth?
Can I refer to the warrant for the description of the packages, please?
Yes, you may. You can look down at your notes to refresh your recollection, but you can't read from your report.
That's fine. I don't have a copy of the warrant.
I have a copy of
It's
the warrant.
on my computer. He'll hand you his.
All right. I'll let you take it.
Thank you. All right. Packages containing shoes, which were the property of the reporting party or the victim, Jai Farrell, and those were valued less than $1,500.
Did you speak with Ms. Farrell?
I did.
Did she say anything about giving authority to Jerome Daniel to take her packages out of the mailroom?
No,
Does anybody live in the mailroom?
no.
Can you describe where this mailroom is in relation to the apartments?
My understanding is that it's actually part of the apartment. It is it's not open to the public. It appears to be part of the building itself, which has access to the stairwell and the mailroom.
So people live in the building where this mailroom is?
They live at 425 Chapel. The mailroom is the mailroom for 425 Chapel, thus the burglary in the second charge.
Okay. And you saw this defendant on the camera with a tool to enter into this mailroom?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. With respect to the suspect you identified, how did you confirm the identity of the suspect?
He was identified at the time of the arrest. That information was provided by the arresting officer.
Okay. Do you see the person in the courtroom who was identified as the suspect today? You can stand up.
Everybody remove your mask.
Can you describe where he or she is sitting and what he or she is wearing?
Okay. Black male, dreadlocks, approximately shoulder length, blue jumpsuit.
All right, thank you. You can have a seat. Your Honor, may the record reflect that the officer has identified the defendant, Jerome Daniel.
Noted. You put your mask back on.
All right. And just a few more questions. I'm just trying to get a better description of the location. Is there any reason, why did you not charge burglary in the first degree?
Because the mailroom is not a dwelling. It's a location for the mail. The actual mailroom itself is not where somebody lives.
But the room is in a larger building where people live.
Correct.
Okay.
Or a part of that building. Yeah.
Okay. And people who live in that apartment building can all access this mailroom by going downstairs?
Correct. They would
And-
need to have access to it.
And this defendant, he did not have any authority to be in that mailroom?
None that I'm aware of.
Did you verify his address?
No, I don't have his address with me now.
Are you aware of him being an employee of this apartment complex?
No,
Okay. Were there any other complaining witnesses or victims?
I can't testify. I'm not sure.
Okay, but you did speak to the victim here, Ms. Farrell,
Yes, I did speak with her over the phone.
and you saw this defendant on camera taking packages that belong to Ms. Farrell outside of that mailroom?
Yes. Or he's taking packages that don't, he's boxing them up, taking them out.
And this, he was taking
Or not,
packages
he's just taking packages from the mailroom.
from the mailroom, okay. And he had a black backpack on this person? On the 20th?
I'm not sure about the description of the backpack.
Okay. Again, we're talking about an incident on September 27th. When was that reported?
On September 27th.
Okay. And when you were following up on an October 20th incident, that's when you also looked into the September 27th incident?
Yes, I was made aware on scene by Sergeant Crump that he believed that he was the same suspect from the September 27th incident.
And you Mirandized the defendant?
Repeat the question.
Did you Mirandize the defendant?
No, Investigator Wareham did.
Okay. Did the defendant make any statements?
Yes, yes.
What was said?
Objection, Judge. This has been asked and answered.
I don't think it was directly asked or directly answered.
We said he didn't Mirandize him. You want to know if he asked him any questions?
No, he was Mirandized.
Oh, okay, but you didn't do it.
I did not read him the Miranda warning. It
Yeah,
was done by
another
Investigator
investigator
Wareham.
did. Right.
I'm just asking.
So you want to know what he said
Yes.
after he was Mirandized? Okay.
He's already asked that, Judge, and the witness has already testified to what the suspect said.
Anything else you need to add?
No.
That's okay. We'll just we'll wrap it up, Your Honor. Was there any other and were there any other people involved on the scene when you arrived with respect to entering this mailroom?
Can you rephrase it? I'm sorry.
Was there anybody else involved to your knowledge?
As any co-defendants?
And anybody else?
No.
Okay. It was just this defendant with the packages
correct.
leaving the mailroom on the surveillance video. And you were post-certified on this date.
Correct.
All right. No further questions for this witness, Your Honor.
Ms. Pinto?
Thank you, Judge. Permission to remain seated?
Sure.
All right, Investigator Howard, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, you testified that you responded on October 20th, correct?
Correct.
And you responded with your partner?
Correct.
And what was the name? What is your partner's name?
Investigator Wareham, D. Wareham.
Can you spell that for the record?
I believe it's Wareham.
Okay, and then when you arrived on scene, you testified that there was a sergeant already on scene?
Correct.
And what's the name for the sergeant?
Crump, C-R-U-M-P.
And these are both Atlanta Police Department officers?
Yes.
Okay, and according to your testimony on direct, the one victim is Jay Farrell. Is that right?
Yes, yes.
And the package that was taken was shoes.
Correct.
And what type of shoes were those?
I can't recall.
You never saw the shoes yourself?
No, ma'am.
And you said that the September 27th incident was reported on September 27th?
Correct.
And by whom was it reported?
SPO Edie and Officer Dominique.
Well, I guess the question, what I mean is who called 911?
The victim is Jai Farrell.
Okay, and did you yourself speak with the alleged victim?
I did not speak with the victim until October 20th, or it may have been the day after. I'm not sure. I think it was October 20th. Yes. When I spoke with her over the phone. I didn't speak with her at the time that the initial report was generated.
Okay, and that phone conversation, was that recorded?
I don't think so.
And you testified that the identification of the suspect was provided by the arresting officer?
Correct.
And was that Officer Howard?
No, I'm Howard.
Oh, I'm sorry. Who's the arresting officer?
Officer Stone.
Stone. And did Officer Stone explain to you how that identification was made?
No. He may have. I'm not sure. I'm sorry. Just to be totally clear.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
I don't know if he told me how he did it or not. That's something he would have to testify to. I'm not sure.
Okay. And regarding the package, was that found to be in Mr. Daniels' possession?
Okay, are you talking about the shoes or are you talking about the packages from the 20th?
So right now we're talking about the 27th, so the shoes.
No, those were not recovered.
And you testified to security footage. That's from the apartment complex?
Yes,
And is that in evidence?
it is.
And were you using body cam up on the date?
On scene, if I was in my dress clothes, which I normally am, I do not wear my body camera, but I do ensure that an officer with body camera is recording my interactions. So there will be body camera footage.
Okay, so you don't think you were wearing body cam, but you think another officer had body cam?
Correct.
Do you know which officer?
It would have been either Officer Stone or Investigator Wareham.
And the interview of Mr. Daniel, was that recorded?
Yes, I believe so. On body camera.
And is the body cam in evidence?
Yes.
And I just want to confirm, this all allegedly happened in the mailroom, correct?
Yes, ma'am.
And that is not an area in which anyone lives.
Correct.
And it's not designed for anyone to live there.
Correct.
If I could have one moment, Judge.
Sure.
And you reviewed the security footage?
I did.
Do you see the suspect speaking with anyone else? Or was speaking with anyone, I'm sorry.
I don't recall that, no.
So he's the only person on the security footage.
From the 27th, that's the only person I saw when I watched it.
Okay, nothing further at this time, Judge.
All right, anything else?
Just very, very briefly, Your Honor.
Okay.
Did you, when you spoke to Ms. Farrell, did she advise that where she lives in connection with the mailroom?
I don't recall that now.
Did she perhaps, or did she live in the same building as the mailroom?
I believe she did, her address is 425 Chapel.
Okay, and that's only one building with one mail room.
Correct. I mean, she didn't, I don't remember her directly telling me her address over the phone. No, I think her listed address, I do believe is 425 Chapel. Do you want me to refer to my notes to confirm that?
You can.
I don't have that written down in this report, at least.
Okay, that's fine. I appreciate your testimony. No further questions for this
Anything else, Ms. Pinto?
No, Judge.
May Investigator Howard be excused?
Yes, thanks.
Yeah.
Investigator, stay safe out there.
Thank you.
All right, argument.
Yes, Judge, one moment. Here you go.
And a different officer is coming in on the other case.
Yes.
Okay.
Appreciate you. Have a good one.
Thank you.
Yes, the state, we ask that you find, if so inclined, burglary in the first degree here. We believe burglary in the second degree is sufficiently established here, but with respect to the officer's testimony describing that the mailroom was a part of a building meant to, or a portion thereof of a building where people live, particularly the victim. She was an apartment dweller at 425 Chapel Street Southwest. We would submit that probable cause for burglary in the first degree was sufficiently established by the officer's testimony. Nothing further from the state.
Ms. Pinto?
Thank you, Judge. Dwelling is defined as a building that is designed or intended for occupancy for residential use. The officer testified at least twice that the building was not, the mailroom itself is not, no one lives in the mailroom. It's not designed to be residential. And he also testified that he is unsure of the alleged victim's address and whether she resides at 425 Chapel or not. So we would submit on the evidence for the charges as they currently are charged, burglary in the second and theft by taking misdemeanor.
All right, let's see.
And if I could just add, Judge, he also testified that residents require additional access into the mailroom. So that's further separating it from any residential portions.
We would just submit a mailroom as a portion thereof, a building designed for occupancy.
Yeah, that's what I'm reading now. This means a building or structure or portion thereof which is designed or intended to occupy for residential use. One second, let me see this. All right, yeah, it says here, I was reading this case from 2020,
I
from
was looking-
2002.
Okay.
Says a storage shelter shelters accessibility from a main building, rendered shelter as part of the main building in purpose of 1671. Storage of valuable goods or shelters relevant to business or shelters inaccessibility to public when the business was secured, rendered sheltered building under statute, and the unauthorized removal from the shelter with the intent to commit felonies, theft, was subject for burglary prosecution.
What is that case, Your Honor?
It's Garrett v. State, 259 Georgia Ave 870. It's 578 Southeast Second 460. So, okay, I'll go ahead and upgrade it, I think, to burglary in the first.
Thank you, Your Honor. Yes, yes.
And theft by taking.
That was the one I was actually, I thought you said 2000. I'd say it's 2002. I thought
2002, yeah. So I'll find probable cause update to burglary in the first. He's been 98 days without indictment. He's got a $12,500 good bond as of October the 22nd. Pre-trial.
In regards to the defendant judge, he doesn't have any felony convictions, but he has another, appears to has another open burglary in Brookhaven.
And he's got another one on here.
And he has another one here. He took, he had a misdemeanor shoplifting back in 2015.
All right.
Nothing further.
Ms.
His
Pinto.
one felony was dismissed back in
Okay.
2017.
All right, Ms. Pinto.
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Daniel is 25 years old. He's lived in the Atlanta area his entire life. He has an 11th grade education, and he's currently trying to get into the jail GED program. Mr. Daniel was homeless at the time of his arrest. We're currently working on getting him into a program, something ideally that would treat residential, that would provide residents and then treat both mental health and substance abuse. Mr. Daniel did grow up in the foster system, Judge, and he's not currently receiving any kind of mental health treatment or medication at the jail. He's been stabbed twice at the jail. This is an entirely unsafe situation for him, both physically and mentally. At the time of his arrest, despite being residentially challenged, he was working at a package store, cleaning up for them. He thinks he could go back to that if we can get him out. He's not a flight risk, Judge. He has no failures to appear. He has no funds to flee. He is not at risk to commit any felonies if released. He has no felony convictions, nor is he on probation or parole. So the only way we can get Mr. Daniel out is through the bail project. So we are asking the court to set a $5,000 total, which would be $2,500 on this case. So once we have a program and a safe place for him to go, we can utilize the bail project.
Ms. Pinto, can you ask your client if he aged out through the juvenile system and whether or not he signed himself out, or did he decide to stay in custody of the juvenile court system? Because he could have gotten a lot of services that way unless they decide to.
So I know that he did participate in one of the programs through DFACS for former foster youth, Covenant House. Yeah. Covenant House.
Did you sign yourself out and say, I don't want to stay in anymore?
I thought you lost it. Okay, so he signed himself out and then he went to Covenant House, which he was referred to by DFACS, I assume.
Yeah, because you can say, I don't want to remain under your care anymore or get help.
Right. Unfortunately, at this time, he's aged out of anything, as far as I can tell.
Well, when you're there, you can get help for a long time. Once you're in the foster care system, if you age out as an adult, you can stay under their care for a good long while if you decide not to sign yourself out. But all right, what says the state?
Yes, Judge, with respect to Ayala, the state is concerned about the significant danger posed to the property of Ms. J. Farrell, as well as other occupants of 425 Chapel Street Southwest. Given the number of open cases, the additional case on this calendar from the same location, the state is concerned about the significant danger of reoffending pending trial should a defendant make bond. We will leave any modification in your honor's discretion, but we do request to stay away from this incident location and no further contact with any resident of 425 Chapel Street Southwest.
All right, you got another case. So on this one, I'll do 5,000 on count one, 2,000 on count two. No drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 425 Chapel Street Southwest in Atlanta, Georgia. No further contact with J.A.I. Farrell, Ferrell. You're gonna have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and work, as long as you provide the name of your employer, proof of employment, your schedule, and the exact location you'll be working. You'll have 48 hours to have that ankle monitor placed on you in case something happens with that Brookhaven case. If they revoke, then you can come back and get that put on. And then, Ms. Pinto, he can also participate in any addiction counseling or mental health counseling that you get him into.
Need any notes?
Okay, Judge, regarding the ankle monitor, if he's residentially challenged, I'm not sure where he's supposed to be charged that.
I didn't get a chance to look at my body cam.
Aren't you trying to find him, social services trying to find him housing?
We're trying, Judge, yes,
Yeah.
but
We have the officer on position 3 here as well.
On the other one?
Yeah.
Okay,
and then also if there's a curfew, at what address would he be required to stay at if he doesn't have an address?
well, that's what I'm saying. I mean, we get a lot of people that have that, but usually they get an address. You gotta have something to like send notices and stuff too. I don't know how you're supposed to get in touch with him. If he gets out and it doesn't work, Ms. Pinto, send it back to me and I'll modify it.
Okay.
And if you can't find anything, looks like the officer's here though on position 3. So the other case for Mr. Daniel. So that's 22 CP 213-354, Jerome Donardo Daniel. It's burglary in the second degree, possession of drug-like objects, 98 days without indictment. Officer, you want to come on down?
Yes, state calls Officer Stone.
Raise your right hand. You swear or affirm that the testimony and or statement you about to give is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes, sir.
You lower your right hand, have a seat, get adjusted to the microphone. State your first and last name with the spelling of both for the court.
First name's Matthew, last name Stone. Matthew spelled Matthew. Last name is Stone, spelled Stone.
Good day or good afternoon, Officer Stone. Appreciate you being here. Could you please introduce yourself to the court? Where are you currently employed?
I'm currently employed with the Atlanta Police Department on Zone 5 Evening Watch.
All right. What are your duties with Atlanta Police Department on the Zone 5 watch?
I'm a patrol officer, so my main duties are to respond to 911 calls, as well as doing self-initiated stops or anything like that if I see a crime being committed while I'm doing my 911 calls.
All right. Do you have any prior law enforcement experience?
Not before APD, no.
All right. Are you post-certified?
Yes, sir.
Were you post-certified on the date of this incident, October 20th, 2022?
Yes, sir.
All right. Can you tell the court about the incident that occurred on October 20th, 2022? How did your investigation of Jerome Daniel begin?
So I don't believe we actually had a 911 call at the time. We had a off-duty sergeant come over the radio requesting another unit. He had been flagged down by somebody that lived at a apartment complex nearby. The person who flagged him down stated that he witnessed a male steal 2 packages from the mailroom, which is also a locked mailroom. You need either a key fob or something to get in, or else the doors were typically locked. And then he pointed that person out to the off-duty sergeant, whose name's Sergeant Crump, while that he was leaving the scene. So Officer Crump was off duty. He had no uniform on or anything like that. He was just known in the community as, you know, an officer. So they went and got him. Another unit showed up before I arrived. I believe it was another sergeant. I'm going a little bit off my memory right now. I wasn't able to read the full report yet.
You can
I
refer to
apologize.
the report, you just can't read from it. So if you need to refresh your memory about anything, you feel free to look down, just don't read from the report
Okay, I got you.
or the warrants. That's
I just
what,
can't read the report verbatim. Okay. Yes, but he got into a short conversation with the suspect just to keep him in one spot until we could arrive. Once I arrived, I believe the suspect was already detained. Basically, after being told all that, he did have 2 packages on his person. Both packages were labeled for 2 victims that stayed in that apartment complex he was seen leaving from. We were able to get contact numbers for both of them, contacted them on scene. They said that they did not ask anybody to pick up their packages for them, anything like that, and the packages were clearly marked for them. When the suspect was asked, why did he have the packages? I believe he responded, I'm picking them up for my girl, something along those lines. One of the packages was addressed to a male, one was addressed to a female. Both stated that they did not know him or anything about him. Investigator Wareham was called to the scene. He's a general crimes investigator. He came by, and we also got in touch with the building manager, who stated that the suspect had been seen around the location several times and had taken packages at different times and provided us with a video of the suspect entering the door locked with a key fob. He used like some kind of tool to get through the hinge on the door in that video.
all right. What was the incident location?
Can I?
Yes.
Okay, cool. It was, I believe, sorry, it's not a location on my beat, so it doesn't just jump out on me.
That's fine.
262, wait a second. No, that's him. I'm sorry. That's our suspects. 425 Chapel Street.
Is that in Fulton County?
Yes, sir.
All right. After you arrived on scene, what happened after the suspect was detained and arrested? Was he searched?
Yes. We always search suspects before we put them in the back of our cars or anything else like that.
Did the search reveal anything?
What was it? We found something. It was it was, I'm still trying to remember. It was like a drug. I think it was glass pipes. Once again, I'd be a much better if I could review my body camera footage. I know I can't right now, but I know he had some sort of drug related objects on him. I believe they were like glass pipes that people typically use to smoke crack cocaine in.
And you, and that's based on your training, knowledge, and experience?
Yes.
Okay. With respect to the witness, what was the witness's name who saw this male enter the mailroom?
The witness that flagged down Sergeant Crump?
Yes.
Brandon Ramsey, I believe.
Okay. Did you see any surveillance footage that showed this defendant entering the mailroom?
Yes, I did view footage of the male using some sort of device to get through the key fob lock door to get into the mailroom.
So it did either Brandon Ramsey or anything you saw in surveillance indicate that this defendant had authorization to enter the mailroom?
No, the male, he had no nothing. He had no items on him besides those two packages that had the address on it. His ID did not have 425 Chapel Street as his address. And I believe after he said he was picking up the packages for his girl, we could not reach this supposed female he was seeing at the scene or anything like that.
How was the suspect identified?
I believe he told us his name. Either he told us his name or we got his ID after we placed him under arrest because he had his wallet with him.
Okay. Do you see the person in the courtroom today who was identified as a suspect?
Everybody remove their masks.
Yes. You can stand up. And can you describe where he or she is sitting and what he or she is wearing?
He's sitting over there with the black shirt, long dreads, dark skinned male.
All right. You can have a seat now. Your Honor, made a record reflect that the officer has identified the defendant, Jerome Daniel.
All right, noted. You put your mask back on.
Just a few more questions.
Yes, sir.
With respect to the packages taken, did you speak with the names on those packages?
Over the phone, yes.
What were their names?
The male was a Mr. Michael Lima, and the other one was a female. What was her name?
Was it Jay Farrell?
Yes, that sounds very familiar. Yeah, Jay Farrell.
Did either Jay Farrell or Michael Lima indicate they gave this defendant any authorization or permission to have their packages?
No, we specifically asked them if they knew this male and if they asked anybody else to pick their packages up for them, and they said that they did not request their packages to be picked up by anybody else and that they should have been in the mailroom.
And they both lived in that building?
Yes.
425 Chapel?
Yes, sir. I believe Miss Lima is in unit 1306 and Mr. Farrell was in unit 2102.
And you spoke with the property manager as well?
Yes. Yes, he's the one who provided us with the video footage.
And you watched that video footage?
Yes.
Was your body cam on?
Yes.
All right. And again, you were post certified on this date?
Yes, sir.
All right. No further questions for the witness at this time, Your Honor.
All right, cross, Ms. Pinto.
Thank you, Judge. Is it Officer Stone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. You said you got security footage from the property manager?
Yeah. Well, it was he showed us, like, I saw a video on a cell phone of the defendant, like, going up to the door that is locked with a key fob, and he kind of like presses something up, not against the key fob surface, but like between the double doors to get the hinges to move, and then he goes inside.
And is that video in evidence?
I'm not sure. I believe Investigator Wareham should have had that email to him, but I was not able to get it to attach it to the police report like I would normally do.
And what's the name of the property manager?
What's the name of the property manager? Mr. LeVar Parkinson.
And you were wearing body cam when you responded?
Yes.
And that is in evidence?
Yes, my body camera footage is available.
And what about Officer Wareham?
Investigator Wareham, he should have a body camera video as well. From personal experience, I do know that he also usually, at the very least, keeps a audio recording of every time he comes out to the scene as well. So that should be available.
And you said you identified the suspect based on his government ID?
I believe so. As I said, I haven't had a chance to really review my body camera footage like I normally would before coming into court like this. I was in training right before I came over here, so I apologize. But I'm trying to remember. I think he willingly gave it to Sergeant Crump while they were talking before I arrived on scene, or I know after he was arrested, we always search everybody before we put them in the car, and I'm pretty sure he had a government issued ID on him.
Okay, but you're not sure.
Not 100% right now, no. I would have to rewatch my body camera footage. It's been a few months.
Okay. So you're not sure how he was ID'd. How do you know that this is the correct person?
Because the witness who flagged down Sergeant Crump specifically pointed him out, and then Sergeant Crump then followed him and did not lose eye contact with him until we arrived on scene.
Okay, so he followed him from the apartment complex?
Yes.
How far did he follow him?
It was only a few blocks, I believe, because he was not in uniform or anything. So he wasn't able to like arrest him right there or anything like that. That's why he called for more units on the radio. Yeah.
And did you yourself speak with witnesses?
I spoke with Sergeant Crump. I don't believe I spoke with the what was his name? With Mr. Ramsey, but I did speak with the victims over the phone. I know that when they told us that they didn't want their packages moved.
Okay, and is that conversation with the alleged victims, is that recorded?
It's all on my body camera, yes, ma'am.
Are you, oh, never mind. If I could have one.
Sure.
Nothing further at this time.
Anything else? Direct?
Just very briefly, did you all ascertain how much those packages, the 2 packages, were worth?
That we did not, it's simply because we didn't want to open their packages because they were still sealed. So I'm not entirely sure what was even in the packages that were taken. We just placed them into property for safekeeping because I believe both of the victims were out of town at the time, so they couldn't come directly to the scene and pick the packages up.
Are they still in property now?
That I don't know.
Will they return to the victims?
If they've come to the property annex to pick them up, they should have been released by now.
Just how large were the packages?
They weren't huge. I think it was like about this big for one box, and they were both pretty small. Like, I mean, you wouldn't be able to fit them in like a small pocket or anything, but you could definitely just, like hold them in one arm and walk around with them.
There's no way you could tell if it was more or less than $1,500.
Yeah, as I said, we didn't open the packages, so I don't know what their contents were.
That's fine. No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Anything else, Ms. Pinto?
No, Judge.
All right. Thank you, officer. Stay safe out there.
You too, ma'am. Thank you.
I'm out of carbs, but appreciate your time. Oh, no, if you're in training, I hope you don't miss it. I hope you get back to training. We appreciate you coming too. Oh, yeah, I'll take that. Yeah. Thank you. Have a good one. Stay safe.
All right. Argument?
Yes, the state will submit on the evidence with one note. We will ask that Your Honor find burglary in the first degree here, given that this was a portion thereof in the case law, as Your Honor has previously put on the record, Garrett v. State 259, Georgia App 870. Nothing further from the state.
Ms. Pinto?
Judge, regarding the issue of the degree, I had a chance to look at Garrett v. State. In that case addresses the definition of building. It does not address the definition of dwelling, which is what is at issue when you're determining whether it's a first degree or a second degree burglary. So once again, this is a mailroom. This is not a residential part of the building. No one resides within the mailroom. It's separated from the residential part of the building. So we would submit on the burglary in the second and the officer was pretty, regarding the possession of drug-related objects, he really couldn't testify with much definitiveness of what even was found on the suspect. So I would actually ask the court not find probable cause on the possession of drug-related objects. It was speculation at best because he couldn't remember what was found. And as for the burglary, I'll submit on burglary on the second, but once again, this is not a dwelling. This is not burglary in the first. And I would ask the court to revisit the ruling on 22 CP 213381, given that I've now looked at this case further, and find that that's burglary in the second as well.
We submit the facts are analogous here. It's the building, the storage, the shelter in Garrett v. State was rendered a part of a building based on its inaccessibility to the public. We would still say that those facts are similar here, where there's a mailroom that is a part of a apartment building meant where people live, and that is fully within the first degree burglary statute.
Well, yeah, because it says here, in first it says he or she enters or remains within an occupied, unoccupied, or vacant dwelling house of another or any building,
Yes.
vehicle, railroad car, watercraft, aircraft, or other such structure used as the dwelling of another. So I'm just looking at it being the whole building is used to dwell. I mean, I could be wrong, and I'm sure those people right up the street would be glad to tell me quickly.
Yes, yeah, we'll look for that too. Yeah. Yes, Judge.
That's what they get the big bucks for. So they'll be glad to tell me if I'm wrong. Not that I can't be, but I mean, that's just kind of how I'm interpreting. So I'll go on burglary in the first, and the possession of drug-related objects. I do. He says he thinks maybe it was pipes. I don't. So I won't find PC on the drug-related objects. But sir, they can still indict you on that. Just letting you know, just because I didn't find probable cause today, but we'll still go on burglary in the first degree. And we've already heard from pretrial. So go ahead, Ms. Pinto.
Judge, would you like me to, I guess I'll restate for the record.
You want the same thing? You want to put it on the record? If you don't, that's fine.
Just to make sure it's a clean record. Mr. Daniel is 25 years old. He's lived in Atlanta his entire life. He has an 11th grade education, and he's currently trying to get into the jail GED program. He was residentially challenged at the time of his arrest, and we are working on getting him into a program for mental health and substance abuse. He did grow up in the foster system. The jail is very unsafe. He's not receiving his mental health medication or treatment. He's also been stabbed twice. He did have a job at the time of arrest that he thinks he can return to. He's not a flight risk. There's no failures to appear. He has no funds or resources to flee. He's not a risk to commit any felonies if released on bond. He has no felony convictions whatsoever, nor is he on probation or parole. And Judge, we're asking for a $2,500 bond on this case.
But Mr. Norwood?
Yes, Judge, we'll submit the argument put on the record with respect to the danger posed to the additional victim here of Michael Lima and Jay Farrell, their property, and the other residents of 425 Chapel, and the significant risk of reoffending given the multiple open cases here in Fulton and an additional open case. We'll leave this matter in your honor's discretion with respect to any modifications, but we do request, just for the record, another no further contact with Michael Lima and of course, the stay away condition. Nothing further.
All right, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 425 Chapel Street. I actually found the name. It's Duo, D-U-O condominiums. No further contact with I added a couple of the reporting witness, Brandon Ramsey, R-A-M-S-E-Y, Michael Lima, L-I-M-A, J Farrell, and LeVar, L-E-V-A-R Parkinson. That was the manager. Now that ankle monitor paid for by the county with that 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, work, inmates treatment, or any sort of addiction treatment. And you need to provide an address. I guess we can put on that, provide an address where you'll be living if you have it. Upon bonding out, they'll ask you for an address. So you need to provide that. Of course, Ms. Pinto will get back in touch with me if her social workers can't get you in anything. We'll make it 5,000 on the burglary and no probable cause on possession of drug-related objects. Best of luck to you, sir. Now we're just waiting on the officer for the Hanks case.
Yes, Forston, I just checked and I guess I received the word he would be here in 30 minutes, over 30 minutes ago. I got that about 11:40 a.m. So I just texted our investigator again. So I should have an update on Forston soon. I just got he said, the investigator Pauls has informed me he's coming.
What's the investigator's name?
Investigator Pauls,
Oh, okay. What's the first name?
Sharon Pauls.
Oh, okay.
I can ask for an ETA.
I'm gonna stand down for a second while I go see the little judge's room. Is that door, is it unlocked? I don't remember if it is or not.
Should-
Excuse me.
Bless you.
Thank you.
We're going for the home run today, you know.
Got what's more. Remind them again.
She's funny.
What's that?
She's funny.
Who's that?
That's great.
You know what? That's great. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. You good, Mo? Mo, you good?
Perfect timing.
Officer Forston, what's going on? Oh, we can have you over here. Yeah. Just call Officer Forston.
All right. You there, Busty?
Yep, I am. Which one?
All right, this is the last one. It's 2 cases. You come on up here to the stand. Yeah. All right, this is they'll go get him. Gonna raise your right hand. You swear a firm testimony you're about to give is the truth, whole truth, nothing but the truth?
Yes, Judge.
All right, if you state and spell your name there for the court reporter.
Can I take this off?
Yes, sir.
How you doing? My first name is Marcus, Marcus. Last name is Forston, Forston.
All right, they'll have him out here in just a second. All right, it's 22 CP 213353. 99 days without indictment, got trafficking, cocaine, illegal drugs, marijuana, and methamphetamine. Possession of firearm during the commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies, possession of manufacture, distribution, sale of marijuana, possession of methamphetamines with intent to distribute, possession of Schedule II controlled substance, possession of Schedule IV controlled substance, possession of firearm by a convicted felon, trafficking in cocaine, illegal drugs, marijuana, or methamphetamine, and BGCSA possession of amphetamine. Then position 2 was 522 CP 213387. Dwayne Alonzo Hanks, 99 days without indictment, possession of methamphetamine with intent to distribute. And there's no bond on both of them, Ms. Pinto, so we'll hear bond after the argument. Go ahead, Mr. Norwood.
Yes, Judge. Good afternoon. Is it Officer Forston? Detective Forston. Thank you for being here. Could you please introduce yourself to the court? Where are you currently employed?
My name is Detective Forston. I'm currently employed by the City of Atlanta Police Department.
How long have you been employed with the City of Atlanta Police Department?
7 years.
What are your duties with the Atlanta Police Department?
Right now, I'm on a narcotics unit.
What does that entail on the kind of daily basis?
On a daily basis, trying to find different locations that's selling illegal narcotics. Usually also indicative with having drugs, guns, and all those type of operations. What we do is we do surveillance. We go out, we sit on locations and try to figure out who's the target and stuff like that.
All right. Do you have any prior law enforcement experience?
No, sir.
Are you post certified?
Yes, sir.
Were you post certified on the dates of these incidences? We're going to start with the first one. I'm going to direct your attention to between October 12th and October 20th. Were you post certified between those 2 dates?
Yes.
Can you tell the court about the incident that occurred between those 2 dates?
So between those 2 dates?
Yes, it's how did your investigation of Dwayne Hanks begin?
The Wayne Heights investigations began. We got a narcotics tip that it was illegal narcotics being sold from 2470 unit 1304. That he would walk downstairs and walk in between the fence line that separate them and the gas station. So we went out there, we did some surveillance. On the first day I went out there, I seen a male matching that description, which is supposed to be a tall male, bald head, slim built, walked through the fence line and what appeared to do a hand-to-hand with a vehicle that was out there. Again, I didn't know who the target was at the time. I didn't have any contact with Mr. Hanks at all. That's when we then set up an operation. We sent out a UC officer out there to see if he could buy illegal narcotics. He went out there, he was stopped by a tall, older black male who then led him, who then made a phone call upstairs to Mr. Hanks, who came downstairs and sold to him. On the second time we went out there, it was me and my partner upstairs on the same floor Mr. Hanks stayed at, 1304. And the operation was to see him leave that location, go out downstairs, give a description to the UC officer that was down there. So once he left out his apartment, we gave him a description. He walked downstairs, and the same description that we gave, he walked up to the UC officer, undercover officer that was downstairs, and sold to him 2 separate times.
All right, thank you. That's my apologies. I'm gonna walk you back a little bit. I had a duplicate warrant, but this took place on October 20th, 2022. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. On October 20th, 2022, you were sitting at the location 2470 Cheshire Bridge Road, Northeast Unit 1304?
Yes.
That was your subject address?
Yes.
Is that in Fulton County?
Yes.
And upon seeing the hand-to-hand transaction, can you just walk us through what happened next? I know you just did some of that, but just to put it in context, if this was on October 20th, 2022, what happened next after that first hand-to-hand transaction?
I just went back to the office, put it in my notes, wrote up that, hey, this may be the target.
Okay.
And everything that they said, it matched. Like he walked downstairs. When he came and walked through the fence line, again, I didn't know which unit he was coming to until the second operation that we had. The second operation, that's when we went upstairs, laid eyes on the apartment unit, and was upstairs on this floor.
And you searched the apartment unit?
Yes, we searched the apartment unit.
You got a search warrant to do that?
Yes.
Based on the hand-to-hand transaction?
No, based on him selling to an undercover officer twice.
Okay.
That's how I was able to do it.
And then you executed that search warrant on October 20th, 2022?
Yes.
In the unit 1304?
Yes.
Of 2470 Cheshire Bridge Road?
Yes.
And what did that search reveal?
Search warrant revealed multiple different illegal narcotics, methamphetamine, cocaine, marijuana, illegal schedule, I think 2 pills was inside. Between 8 and 9 firearms, 3 were stolen. U.S. currency was inside the apartment as well.
All right. I'm sorry. Could you walk us through the amounts of what you found? Did you have that information that you can look at your report? You just can't read from it,
Okay.
but you can refer to it and could you just walk us through the amounts of what substances you found?
Okay.
And yes, just walk us through that.
The amounts was 574 grams of methamphetamine, 30.9 grams of cocaine, 548 grams of marijuana, 20 pills of Xanax, 8 pills of oxycodone, 4 pills of dextromethorphan. Those are the numbers.
All right. And you saw some firearms as well?
Yes.
Did you know what kinds? Can you describe those?
Yes, I have a list.
What was that?
I have my list.
Oh yeah, you can look at your notes for that. Just to refresh your recollection and then look up.
It was a Savage Arms 308 caliber, a 1911 Taurus. It was a Ruger LCP, a Smith & Wesson 45 caliber, a Glock 42, 380, a Glock 43, a LW Count 32 caliber, a Palmetto 5.56, and a rifle ghost gun. It wasn't finished being built yet.
All right. And did you arrest this defendant?
Yes.
How did you confirm his identity?
Confirm his identity, on scene identification, and also a DEA agent who had gave us a tip had already identified him.
All right. Do you see the person in the courtroom today who was identified as a suspect?
But
Yes.
everybody can take their mask off.
You can stand up. Can you describe where he or she is sitting and what he or she is wearing?
Yes, slim build male with a bald head, a blue jumpsuit with a tan and white shirt underneath.
Thank you. Your Honor, may the record reflect that the officer has identified the defendant, Dwayne Hanks.
All right, noted. You can put your mask back on.
When you arrested this defendant, did you run a GCIC and NCIC?
Yes, he was came back as a convicted felon.
Did you note what that conviction was?
For possession of marijuana out of Fulton County on 3/7, 2008.
All right. What date was that possession of marijuana?
3/7, 2008.
Okay. Take that. With respect to the intent to distribute, what you got? What did you base your possession of methamphetamine with intent to distribute on?
Oh, the amount.
The amount?
Yeah.
We got the amount for the trafficking and the trafficking in the cocaine, but for the possession of methamphetamine with intent to distribute, did you see any additional? Was that the hand-to-hand transaction that you saw on the 20th?
Judge, this is a leading question.
Oh.
Rephrase.
Yes, Judge. Can you describe the hand-to-hand transactions you saw?
On the hand-to-hand, that came from him selling to the, like I said, the UC officer.
And one of those happened on October 20th?
No.
What were the dates?
Yes, sir. One of the dates was on 10/13/2022. The 10/13/2022 was one of the dates.
And there was one more date?
Yes. And another date was 10/14/2022.
Thank you. And that was methamphetamine?
Yes.
Did you, and you confirmed that because it was who did he sell it to?
To undercover officer.
And that's how you confirm the substance?
Yes.
All right. And when you entered the apartment, was there anybody else in there?
Yes, it was black female as well.
And this was all captured on body cam?
Yes, sir.
Did you interview the female inside the apartment?
No, but another investigator did.
All right. Were any statements provided by either this defendant or the female in the apartment?
Yeah, that he stated that everything was his inside the home.
Oh, okay. No other witnesses?
No.
And what time of day was this?
This is around between 2 and 3 o'clock.
All right.
Between that time frame.
When did you get the search warrant? Is it in your report?
Hmm.
The date is in your report?
Yes,
Okay, I'll let you get the date, but it was prior to
yes, like a day or two. before.
October 20th in the afternoon.
Yes, before.
Okay. If you want to get the date, we can wait for you to get the date.
Okay.
I thought I had it.
18th, October 18th.
Thank you, thank you. All right, again, with respect to the two hand-to-hand transactions, the first one you had already put on the record was October 13th,
Yes,
and the second one was October 14th.
yes.
Did you make the charging? Did you do the charging for both?
What, that day of?
Yes, or did you take out warrants for both of those, possession of methamphetamine with intent to distribute?
No, sir.
Oh, you just did the warrants for what cases, what charges did you do the warrants for?
What was inside the location at that time?
Okay, yeah. We got you on two separate cases. There's 22 CP 213353. I was just gonna move briefly to 22 CP 213387, where there's an additional possession of methamphetamine with intent to distribute. I was just I have a warrant where you took the warrant out for that one as well, and I was just establishing that the date of that one was based on the two hand-to-hand transactions that you've already put on the record. Does that sound familiar as to what happened?
Judge, he's just testifying at this point. It's not
Do
a
you want to
question.
refresh his recollection
Oh,
with his warrant or whatever? I mean,
I was just refreshing. He doesn't have the calendar, so it's hard to say
Oh.
what's on the calendar if
oh,
he doesn't
okay.
have the calendar. That's all I was doing.
Oh, okay.
He already put the dates. I'm just trying
Yeah.
to just make sure we're good with the calendar. What's on the calendar
Oh, I
as
guess
far as venue and ID?
I don't have you got a calendar on your phone. You can look at your calendar on the phone if you need to look at it, like
I was
dates.
talking about this calendar right here. He doesn't, because it's like two separate CP numbers.
Yeah, there's two different cases, but do you want to refresh his recollection with the warrant for position 5?
Possession of firearm?
Position 5.
Oh, position 5. Okay, yeah.
And then
Yes.
3387.
All right, I can.
I think he doesn't understand that,
Yeah.
how it was calendar.
Okay. May I refresh his recollection?
Sure.
You can look up when you're done. You ready? Oh, yeah.
Okay.
So between October 12th and October 20th, you did observed two hand-to-hand transactions
Yes.
on the first.
I'm sorry, not observed, but we did an operation where it was confirmed that he did sell to undercover officer.
On the first transaction, how much methamphetamine was recovered?
I look at the weights.
At which one?
I look at the weights.
You can do that. Yeah.
The first one was 1 gram of methamphetamine.
All right. And how much was recovered on the second one?
Second was 4.1 grams of methamphetamine.
All right. And both times it was this defendant
Yes, sir.
that you've already identified as Dwayne Hanks.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, may the record reflect that the officers also identified this defendant in Dwayne Hanks in 22 CP 213387.
So noted.
All right. And both transactions took place in Fulton County
Yes, sir.
at the same location, 2470 Cheshire Bridge Road,
Yes, sir.
Northeast Unit 1304.
Yes.
All right. And how did you know these substances were what they were?
Based on our training, knowledge, and experience, but also we sent it off to GBI. We just waited for the crime lab to identify what it is.
Absolutely. And you were pro-certified throughout the investigation?
Yes, sir.
No further questions for this witness at this time, Your Honor.
All right, Cross?
Thank you, Judge. All right, is it Detective Forston?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Detective, you said that this whole investigation began based off of a tip, is that correct?
Yes.
And that came from a DEA agent?
DA agent, and also it came through, like I said, it came through as a location that was selling illegal narcotics.
When you say it came through as a location, what did it come through?
Come through, what we usually do is get phone calls. If somebody's selling legal narcotics, they'll call my number and say, hey, this location is selling legal narcotics. What we do is we go out there, we do surveillance, we get eyes on it, and we try to figure out, is this a good place or if it's not. We go out there and confirm it first before we start any investigation.
Okay, so this phone call, is that an anonymous phone call?
Yes, always come in as anonymous.
Okay, so you were led to it's 2470 Cheshire Bridge,
Yes, yes, ma'am.
and that's an apartment complex?
Yes, ma'am.
And I understand that you might not know the exact answer to this, but just ballpark estimate, how many apartments are in that complex?
I'm not sure, ma'am.
Is it more than 10?
Yes,
Objection speculative.
Judge, he's been to the complex. He has at least a general idea of if there's at least more than 10 apartments in the complex.
Okay, we'll allow that.
yes, it's more than 10, ma'am.
And I didn't use, on direct, it sounded like you were saying that there was a third party involved in at least one of the controlled buys.
You said third party? Yeah, a guy downstairs. It's like a J, I guess, homeless dude. That called up to Mr. Hanks to come downstairs.
Okay, and do you have a name for this third party?
No, ma'am.
So presumably he was not arrested.
No.
And did this third party serve as a middleman in both of the alleged transactions?
You said did the alleged party serve as a?
Did this man we don't have a name for, did he serve as the middleman in both of the alleged transactions?
Yes, ma'am.
And how is it that you came to determine that Mr. Hanks resided in unit 1304?
Again, it was me and my partner on the floor of 1304. We watched him leave and enter that apartment unit, 1304.
Well, I guess the question is how did unit 1304 come under your surveillance to begin with?
That's the unit number that came to me that he stays in, 1304, that location of 2470 Chestwright Bridge. That came in the file, that was the unit that was possibly selling illegal narcotics.
Okay, so you got that unit from the DEA tip?
Yes,
And the surveillance you were conducting outside of 1304, is any of that recorded?
no, I was operating as an undercover officer, me and my partner.
Is it memorialized in any way?
Yes, it's in my notes and also reports was being done.
You said reports. I didn't hear what you said after that.
The report was done that day after the buy, but it was inside my notes, my case file.
And were the controlled buys recorded in any way?
No, ma'am.
But were they memorialized?
Yes, ma'am.
How so?
Yeah, the officer that who he sold to, he completed a police report stating who sold to him, the amount and the weight. And that was done on our system as Mark 43.
Okay, so his report says who sold it to him, but that's not the third party who he actually conducted the transaction with.
Can you repeat that?
You said the officer who did the controlled buys made a report in which he wrote who sold the alleged drugs to him.
Mm-hmm.
That person is the third party we don't have a name for. Is that correct?
Correct.
So what do you mean when he said who sold it to him?
That's who came downstairs and brought the illegal narcotics downstairs. The third party don't have any drugs on them. It come from the unit 1304.
Okay. Did you witness the drugs exchange from Mr. Hanks' hands to the undercover officer?
No, ma'am.
And is any, I understand this all happened in an apartment complex. Is it a complex where there's separate buildings and they're all the entrances are outside?
You said the separate buildings and all entrances are outside?
Right. So there's some complexes where you walk into the apartment from the outside. There's other complexes where you go in and it's like a high rise and all the apartment entrances are interior.
It's an opening to answer your question.
It's what?
It is open to answer your question.
Okay, so you can see the door from outside the building.
Which door?
The door to unit 1304.
Can you see it from the outside? No.
Okay, so it's an enclosed complex.
Yeah. The outside is closed in, but the inside is open. You could be able to see across to the other, I guess the other apartment units. But from the outside, you can't see this unit.
Did you get into or did you recover for evidence any surveillance footage showing Mr. Hanks leaving or entering the apartment?
No, ma'am.
And neither you or any of the other officers were wearing any body cam?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Now I'd like to turn to the search warrant. Did you yourself take the search warrant out?
Yes, ma'am.
And you wrote the affidavit?
Yes, ma'am.
And you conducted the search?
No, I conducted the plain view, but me and other investigators was inside that apartment unit. So plain view is the officer that wrote the search warrant. He do the plain view, he do the initial walkthrough to see anything that you see in plain view. And then after that, we send K9 in to see if he can hit on anything that we can't see. Then after that, we do an initial search. And that's usually some officers that, I mean, the detectives that's not assigned or that's not the affidavit over that unit. So I didn't do the search.
You did not do the search, is that what you said?
Yes, no, ma'am.
Okay. And I heard you say that you conducted the plain view. I couldn't hear what you said. What's the next step after that?
The next step is you send in a K9 unit, and that's when he come in, sniff and see if he can find anything illegal, narcotics, drugs, guns, anything of that sort.
And then after that, the search is done by someone else?
Yes, other detectives.
Were any of these three searches recorded on body cam?
Oh, yes, ma'am.
Okay, was the initial plain view search recorded on body cam?
Yes, ma'am.
Was the canine sniff recorded on body cam?
Yes, ma'am.
And then was the subsequent search by the detectives recorded on body cam?
Yes, ma'am.
And all three of those body cams are in evidence?
Yes, ma'am.
And when you were, at any point in the search warrant process, did you find out who the apartment belongs to?
So did I find out who the apartment belongs to? No, ma'am.
So you don't know who's on the lease for that apartment?
No.
You don't know if, I guess you don't know if Mr. Hanks actually resides there.
Yes, I know he resides there.
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Yes, I do know. He stated that everything inside was his.
Are you aware of anyone else residing in the apartment?
No, man. One of the rooms, it was like some kid stuff in there. I don't know if his daughter or son or somebody stay in that room, but that's the only other room and stuff that I seen in there. That could be noticed that somebody else stays there.
During your surveillance, did you ever witness anyone else walking in or out of the apartment?
No, ma'am.
And after the apartment was searched, are you aware of whether it was secured after that?
And what we do is we close the door, make sure that it's shut. We put the search warrant and we put a property sheet in there from the stuff that was recovered. And so that's what we usually do when we leave the location. Make sure the door is not wide open, that anybody can walk in there. We close the door. And the leasing office usually get contacted to go lock the door up.
And did you have a key to enter the apartment?
No, ma'am.
How did you gain entry?
Gain entry by a tool. It's called a breaching tool. That's where you hit the door and the door usually pop open with the tool that we have.
Okay, so the apartment, after the search, the apartment was not locked again?
No, it can't be locked because it was not. Basically, it was locked and it was knocked off the hinge, so we couldn't lock the door back.
Oh, it was, okay, so when you say the door popped open, it was taken off its hinges?
It was damaged. The lock was damaged, so it couldn't lock back.
You breached the door.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. All right, and now I want to move to the drugs. You're alleging methamphetamine, marijuana, cocaine, oxycodone, Xanax, methamphetamine, and amphetamine. Were any of those drugs field tested?
They got sent off. So again, we don't control that part. It got sent off to get tested. I don't know when that's going to come back. We all be waiting on that.
Okay, so no, they were not field tested?
It got sent off to get tested, yes.
Okay, I'm asking you, were they field tested?
On scene?
Yes,
No,
or at the precinct?
no, ma'am.
Okay, and they were sent to GBI?
Yes,
So you're going solely off of training and experience when you identify these substances?
yes, ma'am.
And did you weigh the drugs?
Yes, yes, ma'am.
Oh, I'm sorry. Have you received results from GBI for the drug testing?
No, ma'am, not yet.
Okay. And when you weighed the drugs, were they in their packaging?
Yes, ma'am.
And how were they packaged?
The methamphetamine was inside of a Ziploc bag. The marijuana was inside its packaging. The cocaine, we put that inside of one of our glassine Ziploc bags, like a clear bag that we weighed, and we put it on the scale and weigh it that way.
What about the pills?
The pills was weighed as well. And we usually put those inside of the same clear bag.
If I could have one moment, Judge.
Okay.
And returning to the controlled buys, were those allegedly conducted at the apartment complex on Cheshire Bridge?
I mean, he came out the unit, walked through the fence, and gas station is right next door to it.
And what gas station is that?
Valero.
All right, and I just want to confirm the alleged methamphetamine that weighed, there was 1 gram and 4.1 grams, so 5.1 grams.
Talking about the total?
Well, because in the warrant, you're alleging it's 8 grams, so I'm just trying to understand what it actually is.
You're talking about the one on position 5, right?
Yes, Judge.
That's what I'm trying to keep up.
You said the warrant said 8?
Say that again, I'm sorry.
Warrant said 8 grams?
Mm-hmm.
And that's from the initial, from the control buys, or are you talking about the inside the house, that was inside the home?
I mean, it's your warrant. You're the one that's here testifying regarding it, but I'm asking, from what I understand from your testimony, that's the alleged controlled buy. That's with the date of between October 12th and 20th.
Okay, I got it now. Yes, it was 8. I'm sorry. So I had it mixed up. On 10/13, that's when we initially went out there to do the first buy. The first buy was 1 gram of methamphetamine, which wasn't from Mr. Hanks. The 2 buys that I got from Mr. Hanks on 10/14, that was $220 worth. That was 4.1 grams. The second was on 10/17, and that was 4 grams of methamphetamine.
Okay, so the 10/13 controlled buy, that was a different person.
Yes, ma'am.
Is that that third party that you don't know, that we don't have a name for?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, nothing further at this time.
All right, any more direct?
Yes, Your Honor, just to clarify a few things on redirect. The controlled buys on 1014 and 1017 that you have just corrected or just clarified for everybody, were those at the gas station across from, were those controlled buys made at the gas station across from the complex?
Yes, sir.
And that gas station is in Fulton County?
Yes, sir.
And in both instances, those controlled buys were made by Dwayne Hanks, who you've identified.
Yes, walked out his unit, walked downstairs, walked through the gate line.
And then you had previously, I didn't mean, did you say anything else?
Walked through the fence line.
Okay, okay. And you had previously indicated that there was an amount of 1 gram or so, but that is not the case. They were actually both approximately 4 grams on each of those days?
Yes.
Okay. On 1017, it was approximately 4 grams, and on 1014, it was approximately 4 grams.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Just going back to the substances found in the apartment, when did you all weigh those?
When did we weigh them? The same day.
Same day?
After we collected it, we went back to headquarters, weighed everything, processed the guns, did a criminal history check on the guns, see if any was stolen and everything. But everything was done at headquarters.
And it was done at headquarters? Okay. What form was the methamphetamine in?
I'm inside like a glassine sandwich bag,
All right.
like a big Ziploc bag.
Was it crystallized?
Yes.
What form was the cocaine?
Powder form.
Powder form?
Yes.
Okay. Did you find any United States currency on the scene?
Yes, sir.
How much United States currency?
Give me a second.
Or if I may rephrase, after you searched the defendant, Was it approximately $2,000 of United States currency found? Does that ring a bell?
That sounds about right, but I want to give you the exact.
Oh, yeah. Take your time. Take your time.
$2,290.
Thank you. With respect to the female in the apartment, was she observed doing anything?
Yeah, she ran from out the apartment unit into the balcony and threw that bag of methamphetamine inside the pool.
Were you all able to retrieve that bag?
Yes, sir.
And you weighed that as well?
Yes, sir.
All right. And that was the crystallized methamphetamine?
Yes, sir.
How much did it weigh? If you have that amount?
Yes, I have. 574 grams methamphetamine.
All right, all right. No further questions for the witness at this time.
Anything else, Ms. Pinto?
Just a couple, Judge.
Okay.
Okay, so you said it was a woman who threw a bag into the pool.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And returning to those controlled buys, October 14th and October 17th, you said that you witnessed Mr. Hanks selling those drugs to the undercover officer?
No, ma'am. I said I witnessed him leave his apartment and enter back into that apartment. I gave a description of what he was wearing, and that's the same person that went downstairs and sold to the undercover officer who confirmed that he was wearing the same exact thing.
So there was not a third party?
That's been asked and answered, Your Honor.
Yeah, I don't know, but you want to clarify that question.
So I guess what I'm trying to understand is,
Who all was there?
right, because he keeps saying, first there was a third party that was acting as a middleman, but then he said that Mr. Hanks came down and did it himself. So I just, there's conflicting testimony that I'm trying to understand.
I said they arrived to the location. The guy that's there outside the gas station, he don't have any drugs on him. When they get there, they contact him the amount that they want. That person called upstairs to Mr. Hank, who leaves his apartment unit, walks downstairs, give the drugs, and that's when the transaction is happening. So yes, the third party, yes, he was there.
Okay. All right, nothing further, Judge.
Anything else?
No, Judge. All right. May officer be excused?
Yes. Thank you, Detective. Stay safe out there.
Yes, y'all have a good day.
All right, go ahead with argument.
One second, Your Honor. We will ask that you find probable cause on all charges. 1 second.
Okay, go ahead.
Appreciate you being here. I was just going to just briefly just give a rundown on the 22 CP 213-353. There's a possession of methamphetamine with intent to distribute, and then 22 CP 213-387, possession of methamphetamine with intent to distribute. We would just ask that you, based on the officer's testimony, there were 2 separate transactions on 10/14, 10/17. With methamphetamine, we would just ask that that one be included in the 22 CP 213-353, and the other one be the second transaction that the officer put on the record. That's the state's understanding.
So you're gonna keep them as 2 separate cases still?
We can fix that later, but
Okay.
for right now, that's the state's understanding of what
Okay.
the breakdown is. Yes.
Okay. Go ahead, Ms. Pinto.
Thank you, Judge. Well, first, as to the possession of firearm by convicted felon, I heard testimony that from the officer that Mr. Hanks was convicted of possession of marijuana in Fulton County. I did not hear that that was a felony amount. Of course, possession of marijuana can be a misdemeanor. So that element of the convicted of a felony has not been shown in the testimony today. So I would ask the court to dismiss that charge. As to the others. The other charges I'll leave in the court's discretion.
Your Honor, we'll submit that the officer's testimony did sufficiently establish probable cause for a felony conviction for sale of marijuana.
I'm trying to think back if he said selling marijuana, because I've got notes, but
He said sale, but
yeah, all right. So I'll find probable cause on all charges. I think I'm trying to, one of the trafficking is for methamphetamines, right?
yes.
So is it the same possession of methamphetamine with intent to distribute?
No,
Okay,
there was a separate 574.
that one, okay.
Yeah.
All right. So I'll find probable cause on both cases on all charges. He's been in custody 99 days without indictment on both cases, and both of them have no bond. Pre-trial.
23 prior arrests, felony convictions, 2 old controlled substance, open case, 19 SC 168926, trafficking in ecstasy, trafficking in meth, possession of a Schedule 1 or 2 with the intent, possession of a Schedule 3 or 5, possession of marijuana with the intent to distribute. He's on probation for MDMA sentenced in 2016 for 7 years. Also for possession of cocaine with the intent, possession of a Schedule 1 or 2 with the intent to distribute marijuana with the intent to distribute, sentenced in 2016 for 7 years. Nothing further.
All right, go ahead. Ms. Pinto?
Thank you, Judge. Mr. Hanks has been incarcerated for 99 days. He's had no bond this entire time. His cases have not been indicted. If released, he would reside at 500 Northside Circle Northwest, Atlanta, Georgia, 30309. That's where he would live with his girlfriend. He is not a flight risk. He has strong ties to the community. He's 37 years old. He's lived in Georgia almost his entire life. He moved here when he was 6. He was actually born in Germany. Both his parents were in the armed forces. He has 4 children, ages 18, 13, 11, and 8. He has his GED. And at the time of his arrest, he was working as a mobile barber. He's been doing that since 2009. So, and then he was also doing club promotions, which he's been doing since 2015. So strong employment history, family here. He's lived here a very long time. He is responsive to the legal process. I didn't hear any failures to appear. He has no violent history, Judge. He's not a significant threat or danger to anyone in the community. He's not a risk of committing a felony pending trial. He, I think I heard 23 cycles, but, and I'm sorry if I misheard, I heard 2 felony convictions only out of those. He's not at risk of intimidating any witnesses. These are all officers who are witnesses in this case, Judge. So we are asking for a reasonable bond for Mr. Hanks today. Of course, as the court knows, the purpose of bond is to prevent punishment before conviction and secure appearance of a person in court for trial, and that the court may consider defendants' financial resources in determining the amount of bail. Mr. Hanks is indigent. Of course, he is presumed innocent of these charges. He has not been able to work for the past 99 days. He lost his apartment. We are requesting a reasonable bond for someone in his financial circumstances of $25,000 total.
And where's he going to be living?
It's North Side Circle. It's in Atlanta.
Is that in Fulton County? Because I know up there there's,
Yes, Judge, it's in Fulton County.
it's Fulton County, sir?
Yes,
Good, okay. All right, go ahead, Mr. Norwood.
Yes, Judge. With respect to Ayala, we'll submit there is significant danger posed to the community with the possession of these substances, particularly given the amounts. You have 574 grams of methamphetamine is significant. Over 28 grams, about 30 grams of cocaine. That is very concerning to the state. 9 firearms here were recovered during the search. 11 firearms, 3 out of 11 listed as stolen. We'll submit there is a significant danger again posed to the community. We'll also submit there is significant risk of reoffending pending trial given the open case with controlled substance involved, as well as open probation with many of the same charges here. And given the nature of the intent to distribute, and given the nature of an open probation, we'll submit there is a risk of not returning to this jurisdiction to make the charge. With respect to the amounts, I do believe, well, we can defer to the standing order with respect to the trafficking amounts with 574 grams and 30.9, I believe, grams of cocaine. And with respect to the possession of firearm by convicted felon, we'll ask for nothing lower than 15,000 on that one in the possession of firearm during commission of attempt or attempt to commit certain felonies. We'll ask for nothing lower than 15,000 on that one. That is 22 CP 213353. With respect to 22 CP 213387, we'll leave that in your honor's discretion. Nothing further from the state, and of course, request the conditions: no weapons, ankle monitor. No further contact with the co-defendant. So
On the two trafficking, because I was trying to look up the standing order. Is it 100,000 on those, or?
I'm looking it up right now. I got the order up right now.
I have it printed off sitting on the bench upstairs, but.
Yes, sir. We have cocaine, 30 grams. I see table 4. Less than 200, it'd be 25,000 for the cocaine. For the methamphetamine, 400 grams or more is 100,000.
So Ms. Pinto, who's he going to be living with?
So Judge, I was gonna ask to address that. The alleged co-defendant, she is his girlfriend and they do live together. So I would ask that there not be a stay away between the two of them.
So is there a child that lives in there with them? I mean, the officer said there was like.
Mr. Hanks has children, but are they with your girlfriend or no? But they're not, it's not a shared child.
Okay, but there's one that stays at the house at some point in time.
How many of your kids stay with you? Yes.
Okay. All right. Yes, this concerns me. One, allegedly, 548 grams of weed, 20 ZX oxy, 30.9 grams of crack cocaine or cocaine, 574 grams of meth, and 4 amphetamine pills, and then 11 firearms. And there's a child.
Yes,
It's just repugnant that all that's there. I mean, what was it? You read the newspaper all the time and somebody, a kid finds a gun and shoots themselves or their best friend or whatever. So there's 11. It's repugnant. It's repugnant. So it'd be, let's see, on position 5, we'll start with no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons. Stay away from 2470 Cheshire Bridge Road in Atlanta, Georgia. I mean, you got a co-defendant, leave it up. It's up to you, sir. I'm going to say no speaking about it. I mean, I don't know how I'm going to be able to control it, but no speaking about this case. Your attorney's going to hate if you speak about the case with her. And so will her attorney. It could definitely hurt you. But anyway, so no speaking with the co-defendant, Kayla Kathy, Kathey, about the facts in this case, but like I said, I can't really keep you from doing that, but it's not going to be good for you, and I'm sure Ms. Pinto's not going to like it if you do. You're going to have an ankle monitor paid for by the county with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical. Is he going to have a job?
He has two jobs, Judge. He's a mobile barber and then he does club promotions.
Okay, so he can leave for work as long as he supplies the name of his employer, location he'll be working, proof of employment. So if it's independent contract and they send him something, he has to have proof that he's going there. The schedule and the exact location, you have to supply that to the ankle monitoring company, sir, and to your attorney that can supply that to the state.
Just to clarify for him, that's proof, like if he makes appointments with clients, he just sends that to the ankle
Right,
monitoring
he's just going to have to
company.
let him, right. But you know, you definitely shouldn't be going anywhere to cut somebody's hair at midnight. I mean, there are 24-hour barber shops, so I do know that. I have seen them, but you don't need to be doing that. All right, on that one. So that's position 5. Now on position 2, no drugs unless prescribed, no alcohol, no weapons, ankle monitor paid for by the Orca project with a 24-hour curfew, court, lawyer, medical, and also work. Same condition, sir. You have to supply the name of the employer, schedule, the exact location you're going to be working, and proof of employment. Now, you go to cut somebody's hair, that doesn't mean you stay gone 8 hours if you got one appointment. So you're going to have to make sure that's told to the ankle monitoring company and give it to Ms. Pinto so she can give it to the state. Stay away from 2470 Cheshire Bridge Road in Atlanta, Georgia. No contacting Kayla, Kayla, Kathy, about the facts and details of this case. You can do so at your own peril. All right, let's see. I'm trying to figure out which count is the marijuana and which count's the. All right, let's see. Which is the trafficking.
believe-
Count 3 is the marijuana, Judge.
Yes. Well,
The second trafficking is the marijuana or the first one?
the third one is possession. or
No, but I
sale.
mean, there's 2 traffickings, cocaine, illegal drugs, and the other one's cocaine, illegal drugs. So,
The first one is one of the trafficking and the second to last one is the other trafficking.
yeah, but which is the marijuana and which is the,
Neither one of them are marijuana.
okay, so they're cocaine and
One is cocaine, one is methamphetamine.
methamphetamines. Okay, so on position 100,000, possession of a firearm or knife during the commission of certain felonies, 15,000, possession of marijuana with intent to distribute or sale of marijuana, 15,000, possession of methamphetamines with intent to distribute, 20,000, possession of Schedule 2 controlled substance, 15,000, possession of Schedule 4 controlled substance, 15,000, possession of firearm by a convicted felon, 15,000, trafficking in cocaine, illegal drugs, and marijuana. And that one's 25?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, that's 25,000 for the standing order, and possession of methamphetamine, 20,000.
That's amphetamine. But yeah, I thought you said methamphetamine.
Oh, I meant amphetamines. So the last one, possession of amphetamines, and we'll do 20,000 on the position 5 for that bond. Need me to repeat those, Madam Clerk?
Yes, Judge.
Okay, so in position 5, that'll be 20,000. On position 2, it's 100,000, 15,000, 15,000, 20,000, 15, 15, 15, 25, and 20.
Got it. Thank you.
Okay. Best of luck to you, sir.
Thank you, Judge.
I don't know,
And our investigator came down. We did have 100% attendance today. She
Oh,
wanted
yeah,
to
yeah.
Just advise the court of that. So we're working on it. Yes, Judge.
No, that's awesome. All right, we don't have anything else that needs to be on, so I can stop the stream, right?
I think that's it.